Hello, my fellow readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story. Finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, the story I'm doing today is Despair Island by Knives. Sorry if I sound a little off. I'm still sick. Like my throat is still really hurting me. I don't know what happened. It just happened. This is a total drama fan fiction, and I actually think this is the second most reviewed, either second or fifth, depending on if you count if you're only counting completed fics. Because I know the most reviewed story is Total Drama Comeback by Kobold Necromancer, and I just remember that story because I think that I only remember that fan fiction because I read it years ago because of two things. One, Heather randomly quoting Kingdom Hearts 2, where she tells someone to get it memorized, like a quote from Axel. And Izzy winning that season. I think Izzy wins in that fan fiction, and that's actually used like an explanation to get her into Total Drama Action because Comeback is like a weird in between middle season while they're setting everything up for Total Drama Action that they kind of just had to make up on the fly. So yeah, um, Despair Island is it is such a it is such a weird dichotomy of a fit because it's like okay, the idea is genius, but the execution is just so off because it's like yeah, I'll get into it because this one kind of demands an explanation. So, but before I get into explaining why what went wrong, let's actually talk about the plot. So, what is the plot of the story? It is just Total Drama Island, kind of, sort of. In short, it is Total Drama Island, but a death version of it. Basically, instead of everyone fighting for $1 million, which was the original price for the original Total Drama Island, this story's like, oh, whoever gets eliminated gets killed, and they go through with it by the first person getting eliminated, Izzy getting shot in the head, Owen getting like a cyanide pill. They are very fitting deaths for each character. Like Izzy getting shot in the bullet. She was like the Carnage one. Oh, it's like she's like a psychopath who wanted to see blood, so her being first eliminated, and also her death being like so anticlimactic because it's just a shot in the head. Like Lizzie's original, not Izzy, Lindsay's original death, was like being covered in like melted wax and melting from within, would have was actually more fitting to her character, but then like a bet, but she's like, oh, Chef didn't melt the wax in time, so you're just gonna shut that. But it's everyone just trying to survive. It's such a weird plot because it's trying to do something unique, but still trying to keep like the same flavor of Total Drama. And then there's also like this second side plot involving Chef and eventually Duncan's parents, where like, oh yeah, this might not be on the up and up, despite Chris constantly saying, oh yeah, this is being approved by the Canadian government. And you know what? I got actually sidetracked for 1 second because I gotta bring up such a stupid, weird decision. It makes sense in the context of the story, so I'm not gonna rag on it. But I just like to point out the fact that the whole reason this show, quote unquote, exists is because Chris McLean decided, oh hey, I'm going to go up to all these TV executives, all these like politicians stuff, pitch the idea for a reality show based around everyone dying. Acting surprised that no one actually picks up on it because hey, having a show where everyone dies is not a good idea. It would be complete another travesty. Goes to a politician who is known to be corrupt or is like there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that he is corrupt and working with like a Serbian mafia. But Chris is like, he gets shot in the air. Even this guy doubts. I don't know. I don't even know if I'll be able to get the show up in the air. Manages to get up in the air. Manages to get it up as a throwaway snuff film being sent to the black market for like the psychopaths and killers who want to get off on that stuff to make money off of. Hides that fact from Chris, and yet at the end, when it's revealed, it's like, this is do you really the government did like sell this? And Chris like acting surprised, like, what? Like, oh shit. Again, it makes sense in the context of the story because it's like, oh, Chris, you idiot! Do you really think anything? There's a reason why no one will take your offer up on this. And of course, Chris like dies in the end. But it is fitting. It was such a stupid, crazy little thing. I had to bring it up. Point is, with the plot, everything involving the main plot is basically just a retread of the original drama. So it has all the challenges and everything, all that in the same order. There's nothing new that difference. The only difference is the fact that technically people will die at the end. It's fine as a plot because it's trying, and it makes sense why they're still trying to go for like the whole, oh, it's still a challenge thing because they're trying, because one, Chris is like sadistic bastard, but two, they're also trying to lie to the children because they got kidnapped and trying to like, oh yeah, the government actually approved of this. So doing like more mundane challenges at least makes sense in the context of the story because they're trying to sell the lie to, they're kind of continuously sell the lie to them. So it makes sense. It makes sense in the context of what's going on. That being said, the plot is still very boring. Like, I get why everything has to be presented like that, but and even like the term, like the elimination order is like completely different. Like in the original Total Drama, Owen actually wins. In this story, he kind of dies in like almost immediately, because like, okay, Owen and Izzy are completely like antithesis what I want to like this story, so I gotta get rid of them like immediately. And the same thing happens when it comes to like the merge when he brings in like Alejandro and Sierra from Total Drama World Tour. Sierra just dies immediately because like, okay, I really just wanted Alejandro to be here, so I'm just getting rid of Sierra. And the fact that like Sierra is like crazy, but yeah, is that. Uh, there. Whew, sorry about that, but I'm trying to hold back a cough. Give me a second. God dang, I hate being sick. I hate recording when I'm sick, but I want to get this review out immediately. So hopefully that pause is the only one that happens. When it comes to the overall story, the idea is there. Like, okay, the idea is just a simple sort of graded. What's the name of that story? Graded. No, I can't remember the name of the story. It's a story about the guy hunting other people. Most dangerous game. Most dangerous game style. Uh, reality show. But it's also very limiting on what it tries to do because it tries to keep things too sanitized. Like, okay, I get it. You want to get the illusion to the characters that this is still on the up and up. Granted, Chris doesn't know it's not on the up and up, so he's trying to, which kind of at least creates like an interesting dynamic, especially once near the end of the story when everything starts to get revealed. Like, oh yeah, this is not on the up and up. It's actually being released on the black market, and the bad guy, notably the politician, actually gets away with the whole thing because Chris dies and they get rid of Chef, and they kind of just watch over him for the rest of his days, and he just wants to retire and all that. It does leave a lot to be desired when it comes to the idea of gore. And this is basically my main issue with the story, is the fact it's rated T. Again, with this, I get it, you're trying to keep the spirit of Total Drama Island alive, but it doesn't make any sense in this context. Yes, in T stories, lots of teen stories, people do die. However, that requires context. For one, a lot of the stories, let's take like the Hunger Games. I think Hunger Games is like a T-rated book and stuff like that. There's a big contest, where people technically have to die, but that's not the main focus of. Well, it's kind of the main focus of the story, but consider the fact everything that goes on, it's not less deaths happen than you would really think if you read through the stories. And they never really go too deep into the depth because they're trying to do like this whole class system deal, and there's lots of other moving pieces around the whole thing. So it's a completely different understanding of how death works in like Hunger Games, but in this Fair Island, the whole point of the story is that everyone is going to die. So why is it rated T? Like if anything, my big flaw with the story is the fact it doesn't go far enough. Like you could be describing the visceral reactions of all of them, like go deep into like making him as like worthless and karmic as possible. Maybe go like the Danganronpa route. Make everything like such an over the top death, like showing like their birds. Like I don't know, like with Cody being like a pervert. Do like the whole thing's like, oh, a bunch of hot women like start caressing him and all that, and start swaying their body parts to them, and then they just show him the Iron Maiden, and it's like, and they're still whispering to him outside the Iron Way, where Iron Maiden, as he's dying, he's poked from all sides, like, ooh, yes, Cody, please pleasure me, oh, and he's like dead. Like you could have went like there's there is such there is so much more you could have done with the idea, and the fact that it's T-rated means you're trying to sterilize the whole thing, especially when again the whole point of the story is that eventually everyone is every almost everyone dies. Like five people live the whole thing, which is Noah, Bridget, Jeff, Justin, and Duncan. Because of course Duncan makes it at least because he's badass. But everyone else, you're just like, oh yeah, you're all expected to die. Have fun. And so it's like, and the fact the whole thing is like a snuff film. The fact, and it just, it's just such a weird dichotomy of what you would what you would think you were expecting from a story with this idea to it, and then you actually read the story. It's like, oh, that's just kind of disappointing. And it really boggles the mind of why the author did this like this. I'm not gonna drag the author too much on this because like okay, I want to try and keep this like as PG as I can. Maybe the author didn't want to get the story taken down because I know fanfiction rules would probably take it down, or at the very least like Writers Unite. I think like Writers Unite is like pretty much gone at this point. Uh, so maybe they had to do something to do with it. I don't know, but it's just weird that the author just was very kid gloves with the whole thing. It, it's weird. Is all I'm gonna say. Moving on to the characters. There's another problem I have with the story. By and large, I don't like pretty much I don't like pretty much any character in the story. The only character I actually like is Duncan. And that's because he's Duncan. Everyone is kind of a jerk. Yeah, it's understandable why everyone is a jerk. It's like, oh, with faced with the idea that you're just gonna die, you're gonna try and think about survival of me versus them. It's like, okay, if I had to live between either me and my friend, I would try and live. Screw my friend, because that's survival kind of just happens. Just fight or flight. So it makes a lot of sense why the characters behave in this sort of way. I don't like it though. It doesn't make it any good. Granted, there is Jeff who's like, I'm gonna try and get my girlfriend out here because if there's one thing he carries over from the original story, it's the relationship between Jeff and Bridget. They kind of fall in love and they get married and all that. Noah gets off really early, but he has like a life. He has like a life idol that's like, oh, if you give the idol to Chris, he'll just like, oh, when you get eliminated, you just go to play as a loser, and you're gonna stay there for the rest of the contest, and then yeah, have fun, and you won't die. And Jeff gives up it. Jeff finds the other idol and he gives it to Chris to pay for Bridget so that way he can try and save her. So I'm gonna try and save myself and try and win, not even for me, so that way I can introduce you to my family because of all that. I think it's sweet, but then again, Duncan is just like he's Duncan. What the fuck? Like it's Duncan. He's like the MVP of like the first 3 seasons of Total Drama. Every time, everything he does is just like, God, genius, do it again. Like, it's awesome. The fact that he actually managed to survive. He actually managed to survive faking his death because he hides a switchblade the entire game, and he panics. He accidentally kills a cameraman because all the cameramen are actually armed because they're all actual convicts and they're only taking the job because it's like, well, if I do this, I gotta reduce sentence, so I'm willing to take that risk. Uh, he kills one. He took on his identity, even like shaving off his mohawk is like, okay, I need to actually sell the disguise as much as I can, and then just puts all his clothes on the cameraman and he switches clothes and all that. He like orders he gets a bear like, and the bear mauls the dead body. It's like, oh yeah, sir, uh uh get Chris, cameraman number 41. Yes. Did you find Duncan? Yeah, I did, but he got mauled by a bear. Like, can you see it? Can you show me? Oh, sure. Get closer. He's dead. It's like, and Duncan has to spend like the entire time trying to worry, like even think about his father. Like, is his father dead, or is he being let go, or anything like that? I think it's good. I think it's finally the only really good character. I don't care about any. I especially don't care about Justin. Yeah, Justin wins the whole thing, but one, he doesn't get anything, and it turns out he's actually part of the Serbian mafia too. And he like the end of the story implies like he's being hunted for the rest of his days by the mafia. And it's like, oh, I guess I'm running. Meanwhile, Duncan's like, you know what? I'm going to politics. It's kind of funny, like picturing Duncan as a politician. Like, can you picture this guy, the delinquent who spent like a long time in juvie, going with like walking after this contest, like, father, what? I'm going to politics. And then he becomes like the guy in charge of the national defense. Like that's actually pretty cool. It's like it's just weird picturing Duncan doing that. But ultimately, when it comes to like importance of in the story, if your name's not Duncan or Justin, you don't you don't particularly care for that character. Like even I don't like Jeff or Justin, but at least like the story makes it very clear that these are like the two main important guys along with Duncan because Duncan has to spend like the last couple of stories out of focus to kind of sell the whole idea that he's kind of hiding out. So it makes sense why he's technically not as important to the story as Jeff and Justin because those are two main finalists. And Justin only wins by tripping up Jeff at like the final leg of the relay race. It's like, oh, they're about to win. Jeff like, yeah, Justin's stronger, but Jeff is faster, and he's like, oh, and he just trips him up. It's like, yeah. It's also very clunky in terms of the characters. Like I said, most of the characters you just don't care about. It's like nothing. There's also Zoloff, which is like the guy who works for the politician. He just shows up randomly, kills Eva with a dumbbell. Again, more ironic death. And then like the next story is like instead of introducing his name, it's like, oh yeah, come out, big guy, and he's like, oh, and then the pro just has his name already on there. It's like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why do we have his name randomly shoved there? It makes no sense. Uh, grammar. I mean, grammar's fine. Sentence structure is fine. It's very basic. Again, it's trying to go for the whole. It's trying to keep as faithful as it can to the original Total Drama. That includes writing, so it's trying to. It's very brief and very full of brevity. So it's not gonna go into too much depth into like the latter half of the story. Like this, like right here, it's very minimalist, but then you go to the end of the story. Let's just let's just go to like a random story. This one, and then he goes a little too more into like idea and like how they're function and everything. But it's still ultimately very brief. There are moments of like introspection and all that. I think like yeah, this one. This one like the only one that actually is like goes like more into introspection, like more prose heavy stuff. Mainly because this one focuses on Noah specifically, and it's just kind of a more background like what he's been doing since he left. And that is very brief. It's very snappy. It's paced perfectly fine. I have no problem with the pacing. Sense of structure I think is fine. Nothing really wrong with that. And that's really it when it comes to general review. I don't really have anything more to say about the general quality of the story. It's very hit or miss. Would I recommend the story? I'm tempted to say yes, but I'm gonna lean no. Mainly because I just don't like how sad like for a story of this time with like angst and suspension where like everyone is expected to die. You expect it to be like more visceral, like more cerebral. It's the fact that it's so sterilized of anything, which, yeah, again, like I said earlier, it makes sense why the story is trying to be sterilized. It can filling out the illusion that it's being proved by that it's on the up and up. So that way, it hits harder when the twist that this is actually being sold on the black market hits so much harder. It doesn't work though because of how the fact that the deaths are like so central to the story that even a sterilized version of it just is just a kick in the ball, and just you don't want to see a sterilized version. You want to see an over the top gory version, like all the gory descriptions you can, like like as fitting and to each characters as possible to like showcase like how hard Chris McClane is willing to go, because Chris is ultimately the villain of the story. He's the one who ultimately who wanted the game show to happen. He's the one killing everyone, or if he's not killing them, he's ordering someone to kill them. And he does eventually meet his end. Granted, the politician survives the whole thing and gets away with it. But just the fact that the sterilization robs so much potential and ultimately just sinks the story's quality, because even even if there's like legitimate purpose behind having to sterilize it, the fact that it is sterilized to such an extreme content, like I'm like even if it was like ultimately slightly more gory, I would have been fine with that. But it comes a time where the author sterilizes something so much it actually hampers the quality, and I think that's what happened with Despair Island. The author just went too far in the safe direction that it kind of robbed like what should have been its core identity out from it, and kind of just destroyed like what should have been an actual legitimately solid story. What would I say is my favorite part? I do like I would say probably the ambiguity behind Heather's death, because Heather's death's kind of like implied to be suicide, but it's also implied not, because based on like everything you read around it, it's very possible that she may have just died from like concussion, because she actually gets hit in the heart, hit very hard in the head twice. The first time she actually loses her memory. Second time she's actually getting like headaches and stuff like that, and the doctor makes her go to sleep. And of course, if you know how like concussions work, like if you go to sleep while you're having a big concussion, you actually die from that. So it's like very, 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 very ambiguous on like whether or not like Heather actually died from the concussion, or like because of her amnesia, the pain and the trauma, the whole thing kind of happened, and she just got off herself. I did read that she did apparently die from the concussion, so I was like, that's that. But I was like, answer on the Reddit. So yeah, take what you get. What would I say needs to be fixed for the story? Easy. Bump the story time rating. Go just don't go too far in the other direction because if you go over the top, then it just kind of becomes laughable. But honestly, just have a more grungy setting. Have everyone like convey like the paranoia for everyone more. Granted, some characters like make more sense to not be as paranoid, like Jeff and Beth, because they're meant to be. Beth's supposed to be optimistic one in place of Owen, and Jeff's like whole purpose is to try and survive so that way he can take Bridget with him and so that we can get married and all that stuff. Uh that's really it. Granted, you could also do like a sequel like involving Duncan. Like honestly, badass politician Duncan hunting down Jonathan Garilla. What the fuck is his name? Garvillic or whatever. Fuck, I know his name is like yeah, Garvillic. Like to kind of get revenge on what happened. Like honestly, that sounds like a really cool idea. Like oh, we found like him just investigating Jonathan to try and prevent like stuff like total drama from happening again. And he like the nice touch with Duncan's character, like having like naming her daughter after Courtney. Uh, honestly, just badass politician Duncan hunting Jonathan and discovering like the truth behind the creation of the show. Honestly, that just sounds like a really fucking badass story. Like you could like even like going into like politician like political Canada. You can even touch on like euthanasia and stuff like that. Kind of like Canada's doing that stuff now. There's a lot you can do with like just this idea of like an older Duncan discovering the truth behind Garvelik and kind of taking down the Serbian mafia. Hey, bad guys will eventually get caught. There's that. But yeah, that's really it for this story. I'm sorry that I didn't go too much depth into the plot. Again, I'm sick and I'm wanting to try and keep this brief so I can save my throat. This has been Dark Symphony 777 and cut.